Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review. And today I'll be reviewing of the 1998 film Patch Adams, starring Robin Williams. Rest in peace to Robin Williams. Which I've always loved Robin Williams. I enjoy him. I enjoy him a lot of his films. Of course, from Forcing Genie, Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, Good Morning Vietnam. Of course, as Teddy Roosevelt in the Night at the Museum. Many films. Toys. That's another good one. Robin Williams has always been such a talented comedian. He was truly a one of a kind comedian. Sadly, he will be missed. But there has been exceptions. I've not loved every Robin Williams films. I wasn't a fan of Jack, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, which can go fuck himself. What was the other one? Death to Smoochie. I wasn't a particularly fan of either. And I was not even a fan of Bicentennial Man as well. But this film, Patch Adams, I understand what they were. I understand what they were going for. I understood the intention they were going for this. But from what I understood, the real life Patch Adams, he hated this film because it kind of deviated. There was more to it for the real Patch Adams than the word that was depicted in the movie. So that's one of the reasons why the real Patch Adams hated this film, which I don't blame him. I mean, when it's based on a real life person, you want to try to depict as much as you could, though. And one thing I would say, though, it was focused on more on of Patch Adams in his comedic side, more than his being a real doctor, with more, doing the saving people, medicine, and stuff like that, right? It was just more of being on the clown side of Patch Adams, more on the actual doctor side of Patch Adams. So that's what I think that was one of the bigger issues with the film, I mean, Robin Williams, he's not the problem with the film, I think he's still giving a good performance, though, but like I said, the intention that was going for, though, right? I mean, there was some stuff that, say if I was a patient in the hospital, I would be pissed off at this guy, I understand he's trying to make us laugh, try to make us feel better, maybe or forget our problems, though, but if I was a patient in the hospital, if I had, say if I was a cancer patient, I don't want this guy to be around me, he would just piss me off, So, yeah, overall, I was an overall fan of Patch Adams for more of the reasons I'm saying. But, like I said, it's good to watch for Robin Williams' performance, though, right? And the thing is, it's directed by Tom Shadyac, who worked with Jim Carrey, Tom Shadyac, who directed Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, which I enjoy, Bruce Almighty, and Liar Liar. I enjoy those films with Jim Carrey. So he haven't got to work this time with Robin Williams. I mean, I guess again, working with two great comedians, I would say so. Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. And overall, and the thing is, the film was also written by Steve Odenkirk, the guy who also wrote the sequel, Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. So, and the cast, it has a decent cast. I mean, you have Monica Potter, who, remember from starring in Con Air, she was Nicolas Cage's wife. She was in the sequel of the Alex Cross films of Along Came a Spider with Morgan Freeman. She was in the first Saw film as Dr. Gordon. Carrie Elwes was his wife. The remake of not the Hills of Ice, The Last House on the Left. So she's a decent actress. And you got Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace to him. I like Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's a who was a good actor too. So he's passed away, sad to say. You got Bob Gunton, from playing the Warden from the Shawshank Redemption, from Broken Arrow, Glimmerman. He's another one actor who's been in many other supporting roles in a lot of other films. I like Bob Gunton. And Peter Coyote as well, from playing. I remember him. He was in playing the government official in Spielberg's E.T. Extraterrestrial. He was also in Sphere with Dustin Hoffman, Sam Jackson, the sci-fi film that's based on the novel by Michael Crichton. So decent cast though. But the story is like I said, Patch Adams, or Patch is the nickname, Hunter Patch Adams. He's a guy who was on the verge of suicide, though, so he gets admitted to this hospital where here he sees opportunity to make people laugh, right? And you also have Michael Jeter is in this. Michael Jeter from playing Dell from The Green Mile, with Mr. Jingles, or Jurassic Park 3, or Air Bud as Mr. Snively, the clown who wanted to get Air Bud back despite the fact he hated him, though. Michael Jeter, he is another funny guy, He's passed away, years ago, sad to say. He's a guy who has this fixation with squirrels, and Patch Adams, doing things to help him with his problem. And then before he decides to become a doctor, which, like I said, we see more of the clown side of Patch Adams more than the actual doctor side that's depicted in the film. I mean, we see I think this is kind of a dick thing to do. I mean, we see Patch Adams. He's with these kids, right? Bunch of these kids in the hospital. He's a guy who's comatose, right? He has his arm, like how when you have your body in casts, right? Like your arm is raised up, in a certain way. So his arm is raised up like this, and I thought it was kind of a dick move where Patch Adams, he's kind of making fun of the guy because he's like, raise your hand, if you have a question. Oh, which way is heaven, Oh, do you support Hitler? Like that. So that was kind of a dick thing to do. I mean, the guy can't speak or defend himself because he's comatose. So you're here just making fun of him because of the way his arm is, So I mean, that's kind of a dick move, And then we introduce more of the characters like Bob Gunton. He's the guy who runs the hospital. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, I like Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace to him, he's not in the film that much. He only appears in a few scenes, But him and Bob Gunton, they both kind of say the same thing, which I would agree with. They both kind of say the same thing, it's human nature to lie, manipulate, take shortcuts, and make mistakes, I mean, in a sense that they are correct, because we do live in a world where it's full of lies and stuff, right? And a whole lot of manipulating and making mistakes, and I mean the world is it's like what Rocky said in the 6th Rocky Balboa film, which I do. That's one of the greatest quotes I could ever heard of in a film. The world ain't no sunshine and rainbows. It's a real mean and nasty place. I do have the quote up there because that is one of the most meaningful quotes about life. Nothing can ever hit as hard as life, right? So yeah, you're trying to give us. I know. I understand the intent. Hey, they say the phrase "laughter is the best medicine." Which when you're feeling down in the dumps, you can always use a good laugh though. But at times when you're a doctor, there are times when you have to take things seriously, when you're saving lives, and helping patients in a time of need. There's a time you can crack a joke and and get a chuckle from people though, but at the same time you're a doctor, you have to take things a little seriously. I mean, there are moments when Ron Williams, he's walking around in bed with bedpans and if I was a patient, I'd be annoyed by this guy. I'd just like, please leave. You know. I think I prefer, to have a nice and quiet where I'm just trying to heal myself, and or the moments here, or the scene later on where here he's talking with the skeleton, and I'm like, and people get pissed. It's like, hey, this is people are like dying and and sick and injured. You're just joking around with the skeleton, you're just joking around, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't blame them, Or there's another moment where this elder woman, like, she has this thing with noodles, and she's like fixation with squeezing noodles, and she wants to swim the noodles. I'm like, okay, that's just weird though. Or another moment where a bunch of elder people, and Robin Williams kind of scares the shit out of them with balloons popping. I'm surprised you didn't give any of those elder people a heart attack. You know. If you're an elder, if you're an elder person, you have like a heart condition, and you hear someone just pop all of a sudden, just like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't give anybody a heart attack. Those poor elder people, Like I said though, I get the intention they were going for though, but like I said, I can definitely see why the real Patch Adams did not like this film, Because yeah, I mean, it's like they kind of like fully said with Robin Williams, yes, you get the comedic side, but at the same time you get to showcase, him being more of the actual doctor part, And with Monica Potter being kind of his girlfriend, and what else? I mean, even later on, I mean, there's a point where Robin Williams wants to start a free clinic. So what do? There's someone who has assisted him that they just take shit from the hospital. Like, yeah, you want to have your own place though, but you're stealing shit from a hospital that kind of needs their equipment, in case something bad happens. If something bad happens, like, oh, sorry, we ran out of stuff, which the hospital do not know about though. That's another thing, kind of a dick thing. He's stealing shit from hospitals which they don't not know about. And also because leading to this free clinic thing, and I mean, and this is kind of a fucked up way because it kind of like it's like so out of tone with this. It's out of tone, right? With the, let's say, out of place with the tone of the film it's going for, right? Because one thing leads to another. There's a guy. And one thing leads to another, shoots Monica Potter in the face with a shotgun, and then kills himself with it. And I'm like, where did this come from? I'm like, this is such out of touch with the tone of the film, Because even a film is supposed to be a heartfelt, emotional film, and yet you have to pull like a dark moment like that, And I think we understand, like, because I think that also in the real life, the real Patch Adams had a friend that died. Not in the same aspect in the way though, but they changed it, of course. Probably because the guy it was a guy friend, not a girlfriend though. So they swapped that out, and so they kind of manipulated it that way. So because instead of having a guy, it's a girlfriend dying in a different and not in the actual way of the guy who died in real life. So they just changed that. I'm like, why would they go this route, And then there's a point where he's thinking about being suicidal again, but doesn't. And the one thing was leading to this court, where it's like, in a way they were, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Bob Gunton were right, I do agree with that about lying and making mistakes and taking shortcuts and stuff, And then when you get to the court, all the children are there and they put their clown noses on. And then ends with, before that, he sees a butterfly. Because there was an earlier mention that Monica Potter was telling him, hey, if I die, I wish to be a caterpillar and be a butterfly, right? I'm like, yeah, so they had to go this way, too. So he sees a butterfly, it lands on him. It's kind of a reflection of her, and then flies away. So they pull that as well, and then by the end of the film, he finally graduates of getting his actual doctor license and stuff like that. Oh, but the joke is, though, he's not wearing anything underneath. He's fully naked underneath his robe. You know, the graduation outfit you wear when you graduate, right? The cap and gown. He's naked underneath, and that's the joke. So, I mean, Robin Williams, like I said, I love Robin Williams. Now, I would say it's probably, it's not the worst of his, but I'd probably say I prefer this better than Death to Smoochie or what was it, Jack? I'd rather prefer this than Jack, but I definitely prefer this than Bicentennial Man. I definitely could say that. Or I forgot to mention, I love Robin Williams. There are some he does some serious roles. I mean, the darkest role I've seen him, where he was playing basically a psychopathic stalker in 1 Hour Photo. That was a pretty good thriller film with completely Robin Williams completely out of his comedic element. He's being like a psychopathic stalker to his family. 1 Hour Photo. That's a good movie with Robin Williams. That's probably his darkest film he's done. I mean, there's other ones. There was a film called The Night Listener, and then there's the film called The Final Cut with Jim Caviezel. Those are other films. Those are the films he was being more serious in those films, but I wasn't big on Final Cut, honestly. Or where he plays a killer in Christopher Nolan's Insomnia with Al Pacino, where he played a killer. That was another good role from Robin Williams as well. So, damn it, my nose is still freaking running. God damn it. Sorry about that. I don't know why my nose is so runny all of a sudden. Maybe because I don't know. I'm just gonna say I'm allergic to bullshit because that was because I was ranting about the worst films of my worst of 2024. Well, maybe because this is a small rant though, but because of that, because my nose is allergic to rants. Maybe now, every time I do a rant, my nose gets runny, and even the previous one I just did of Caligula as well. I mean, just like I don't know why. I guess my nose is allergic to rants I'm doing. I guess. But regardless though, I mean, Robin Williams, like I said, I prefer this film over those other Robin Williams films, like more than Jack or Death of Smoochie or Bicentennial Man. But yeah, I can see why the real Patch Adams did not like this film. I definitely didn't. I can definitely see that. But I mean, the cast, like Bob Gunton, Philip Seymour Hoffman, like I agree with what they were saying. But Monica Potter was there, was fine too. It was nice to see Michael Jeter in there as well. But if I were to prefer from director Tom Shadyac, I'd rather watch Ace Ventura or Liar Liar or even Bruce Almighty. But Patch Adams, I mean, the film was a hit, so I mean, it made over 200 million worldwide. God damn, Jesus Christ, man. Better cut this short before my nose starts running like a fountain. But the whole thing, because if I were a patient in a hospital and the guy is just constantly making jokes, I'm like, I wouldn't be around this guy. I wouldn't have him near me because I'm in a hospital and I'm trying to recover. I don't want this guy to start annoying me. Or like the moment where he starts making fun of that guy who's but comatose and the guy can't defend himself. I'm like, that was a dick move. Or nearly giving elder people a heart attack with balloons popping. And the whole dark moment with Monica Potter getting shot, I'm like, that's so out of tone with the tone of the movie, And so, but yeah, Patch Adams, I mean, people like the film. I mean, like I said, it's a small rant, though, because I don't full-on hate it's not a full-on rant, though, right? Because it's not one of my favorite Robin Williams movies. But it's not the worst, and it's not... I don't full-on hate it, though, but it's still... If I put it totally, it would be like a review/rant. Not a full-on rant, but like a /rant. But overall, yeah, I'm not big on Patch Adams, though, but... Like I said, it was nice to see for Robin Williams' performances, because like I said, I love Robin Williams, I miss the guy, but he's still doing his typical, typical stuff that he usually does, So, But yeah, Patch Adams. People like the film, but I was overall not big on it though. It's like I'm indifferent. That's best way I can describe it. I'm indifferent on the movie. That's the best description. I'm indifferent on it. But I just rather watch other good comedy films from Robin Williams. You know, I'd rather watch, Aladdin. I'd rather watch, like I say, Good Morning Vietnam, Toys, Mrs. Doubtfire. But it was some of the films he was doing in the late '90s. It wasn't the best he was doing though at the time. But overall, though, I still think, yeah, like I said, I'm just indifferent on Patch Adams. That's the thing. So, but it's nice to have just for the collection, just for Robin Williams. He always does the best he can. Even in some circumstances. But yeah, that's my review for Patch Adams. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We'll stay on the next movie review. Later.